All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so pretty ugly day today. You did end up losing the 21 EMA here on QQQ and SPY. In yesterday's video, we talked about how you're sitting right above the 21 EMA, and you really just have to break this two-candle range you got going on here. You're either going to be pivoting up off of this, or you're going to lose the 21 EMA, and you're going to come down here 605 to 607.50, where I'm pretty sure we're going to be bouncing back from. You know, ahead of time, I was calling for this pullback, you know, coming into the week, into this area. I was thinking it gets bought by end of week or early next week. I'm still thinking that is going to be the case. Could be wrong, but yeah, still thinking that's going to be the case. I will just remind everybody, uptrend, everything, uptrend. Okay, I know you are pulling back, but at the end of the day, you are still in your uptrend. You are sitting right there. It does not mean you can't, you know, you could get a larger correction here. You can, okay, you can, but like you could come all the way down to, you know, weekly 21 on a bunch of names, but that's probably not going to be the case. Okay, you're pulling right back into where you broke out from, and that is that. Okay, we're actually going to start over here with QQQ. All right, so on the upside, guys, you have 613.18, 617.21, and then 622.04 is going to be the level you need to break above. That is the new level we were watching. We were watching 626.69 in yesterday's video. We are now watching 622.04, and that was 2 days high. You get back above 622.04, that is when bulls are retaking control. That's when you have this whole area being taken out, and you are very likely, yeah, you know, bulls are completely regaining control. If we see that, you're wiping all of today's bloodbath. So that is that. That's all you're watching. Okay, above 622.04, we have 626.69, 629.85. Okay, that is QQQ. On the downside, you have 610.30 underneath there, 607.50, and then I'm personally going to be watching 605. That's the level that I was watching before. But right under there, you have 604.52. So underneath 610.30, you have 607.50, and then 604.52. Coming over here to SPY, all right, on the upside, you have 673.95. Above there, we are important spot, okay? It's going to be today's high at 677.38. Watch for the break above 677.38. At that point, we're going to have 680.86, 685.94, 689.70, okay? Same logic applies on what we just talked about on QQ there, okay? You get above today's high, you're wiping out the bloodbath that you had today. You're wiping out, you know, when bears took the wheel, all right, when you lost the 21 EMA. And also, if you lose the 21 EMA and reclaim the 21 EMA, that's not a bearish thing, all right? That is, you know, you can see over here, you lose it, you reclaim it. You lose it, reclaim it. Lose it, reclaim it. All right, and yeah, back off to the races. So we'll see what happens, okay? On the downside, we have 670.23, 667.29, okay, and then 663.30. I'm going to be watching 667, guys. That is really the important level on the downside there that you want to be holding, okay? Now, that being said, guys, I know you lost the 21 EMA today, but I don't think the hourly or 4-hour looks all that bad. You definitely are sitting down here in demand. You got the golden pocket sitting right underneath, okay, 667. We said if you do not hold the 21 EMA, okay, if you break down from where you broke out from over here, 673.95, we're just going to watch 667, all right, right here. Okay, so that is still going to, you know, that's still going to remain the case. You can see over here, buyers are defending this area. You did have the 15-minute bullish divergences popping up down here. So we do know, you know, buyers are trying to defend it. We clearly have the buying pressure going on down here. But, yeah, you know, it doesn't mean you can't come down a little bit lower. You know, QQQ, I gave the stat over there on the 1-hour RSI. Okay, we hit it over here. 8 times since the April low, you have hit that spot on the 1-hour RSI. It was actually, yeah, it was right up here. 8 times. And you had in between a 0% move down from there before moving back up the highs and a 2.5% move. Okay, 4 out of 8 times, that marked your bottom. Okay, we did have a short-term bottom put in right there before a decent rally. So that, you know, that's something to note there too. But, you know, in these instances, you started pushing back up the highs. So I'm looking for, 2.5% from that point. It's 605. That's why I gave you 605. It was somewhere right over there. Yeah, right over there. Okay. And that brings you right there, 605. So that's why I'm watching that level over there. It was ahead of time. I was planning on it. Still going to say that is still, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. That is that. Now, that being said, you did lose the 21 EMA. So I can't tell you, if you're just going to pop right back up and get over it, or if you're going to come down to this area. That's why we're covering both. Okay. And it's up to you to manage everything you got going on there. But I will track that price action for you. Okay. You could just come here to these videos. I'll let you know what is going on. I'll let you know what you're watching for things to start turning around. And in this case, 622.04. Okay. But yeah, definitely buyers were they were pretty convincing the previous 2 days there. And then, oh, you fell flat on your face today. Okay. You got bad data. Bad data finally opened up there. And there we go. Okay. But that's SPY QQ, guys. That is pretty much it. Okay, you're just on the upside QQ, 622.04 above there. Look for, 626.69, 629.85, 637.01 on the downside. Just watch 610.30, 607.5, and 605. All right, that's what you got. Now, that being said, guys, VIX is bouncing off of the 21 EMA here, so we might get a, continued little VIX spike going on into end of week. We might be falling into end of week here, and maybe early next week. But again, I'm thinking we're going to get bought up a little lower than where we are right now. We had two key spots that we were pointing out over the past few videos, and yeah, you faded one. Now we're coming down to the second one. And that is that. But yeah, VIX looks like it might not be done here. So something to keep in mind. Either way, you know you're watching over there, SPY QQ on the downside. All right. And if those end up continuing to the downside, well, VIX ends up getting up here probably $22. Okay. That's that. All right, guys. So Mag 7 stocks, the Magnificent 7 stocks. You're sitting right on the 21 EMA over here on the Mags ETF. You're pulling back into where you broke out from. You're going to have the daily 9 EMA around 64.60 there. All right. Now, let's just dive into the actual Magnificent 7 stocks here. And Microsoft, but ugly, guys. It looks like this thing wants to take out 492.37. I can't tell you how low you're going to be going after that. But I will point out, it's the first time you're losing the 21 EMA in quite some time. Doesn't mean you're not going to, pivot up off of it. You can, okay? You still got time in this week and, to put in like a hammer candlestick, something similar to over here. Next week, okay, you have a doji, you have a hammer right there, okay? Maybe you end up doing that over the coming weeks. We'll see about it. I wouldn't be touching it. I think there's absolutely no reason to be touching Microsoft. I've held that stance the whole time. There's nothing there on that chart for us. There's absolutely nothing, okay? NVIDIA, guys, it's an ugly bearish engulfing candlestick. I would not be surprised if you do end up, pushing up for a lower high here, and it's just all she wrote. It gives me that vibe right over there, okay? I'm just not, it's not too pretty. I wouldn't be touching it. But yeah, definitely bearish engulfing candlestick going on. You're sitting right on the weekly 9 EMA, and you are almost down to 184.48 where you broke out from. All right, but you are having the sell happen on decent volume here, okay? And you lost 21 EMA, so hey, all right, same thing as SPY and QQ there. If you just want to mark out today's high, that's you wiping out the bloodbath. That's, sellers over here, they took the wheel. Guess what? All right. If you completely wipe out that move, you're back above the 21, back above the 9 EMA, back above where the bloodbath started from. There you go. You're probably going to start pushing back up. Okay. So that's what you're watching for over on NVIDIA. Amazon, guys, we got our 242.52. We were talking about it ever since we gapped up over here. Okay. All right. No, it was on this day right here. We're back here. We're back down here. I'm thinking worst case scenario, you're just going to be selling for another week. Maybe you do have, sideways action for a while, but I'm still pretty positive SPY's going to head on up to $700 after this dip. Again, probably going to be early next week or tomorrow. Hey, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But yeah, Amazon over here, guys, I was looking for the mean reversion, when we were floating up there in the sky, guys. If you are ahead of these moving averages, okay, and by the way, things like this is why we were looking for the pullback last week. This is exactly why everything was just kind of flowing. That is just that. But, you know, real talk, guys, you're now pulling back into where you broke out from. It's not a bad look. It's not. Okay. If you think this thing is just massively going to sell here, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it can happen, but I'm not going to tell you odds are in your favor. And I'm going to definitely say, yeah, your odds aren't in your favor. If it hits, you did a bad thing. Okay. If, like I'm telling you, if you shorted up here, I mean, you could, I'm not saying you're not making money. I'm just telling you, this chart is likely going to be going higher, and I was calling for the pullback into this area, 242.52, before it started pulling back, okay? And we were anticipating that it does get bought. But yeah, monthly, weekly, higher time frames, guys, they are suggesting we are likely going decently higher here on Amazon. This is just a retest from where you just broke out from. All right, so that's Amazon. GOOG, okay, that is Google, GOOG. Does this look all that bad, guys? Does it really look all that bad? No. Honestly, this is probably the best Mag 7 stock out there right there. It is holding strong, okay? Now, I'm not sure if Tesla's going to start popping off, you know, into end of week here because we got Elon's pay package approved. We'll see about it. Look at that, the faded. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, that's real-time hours. That's why. Okay, extended hours. I was going to say, you're looking like that. But yeah, over here on Tesla, guys, you know, pay package, it got approved. Okay. Shareholders approved it. It was like a 75% yes. I'm just saying this thing is probably going to start going up to all-time highs. I'm definitely going to say it's still in this range. It's still in troll mode right here. And it's still every other day reversing the previous day's move. So, I can't tell you until this thing actually starts breaking out. It's genuine range action, and just try not to get frustrated by it, okay? Because it's going to keep trading like in a range here until it breaks out of the range. That's just how they work, okay? But you got your upper range inside the larger range here, and underneath 439.61, that's when things can get a bit hairy and you start coming down here. But you're sitting right on the 21 EMA, guys. If you start losing that, if you see over here, you got one close underneath it, there's that. Well, I'm just telling you right now, I know you can't really see it, but yeah, if you start really selling, you get back down to 414.50, I'm going to tell you the cloud is going to flip red. And yeah, if you just look back at the past, you flip red and the move's over. You go red, the move is over. I don't care. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You could make fun of me for an indicator all you want. You can. But if you flip this daily cloud red over here, which is literally just the 5 EMA crossing underneath the 21 EMA, just so you guys know, if that happens, move is probably over. And we're going to see a prolonged correction here before a move up. Okay? Doesn't have to be the case, but it's likely going to be the case if that happens. And because I don't think that's going to happen, I think they're going to drive you higher from here. I think now that this is out of the way, I think they're finally about to break you out of this range. We'll see about it, though. We will see about it. Apple, okay? It was showing strength today, okay? Getting more of a bid than everything else. It did end up pulling back into the close there. Yeah, you know, it is still just consolidating above the 9 EMA right here, right off it. It's the 4th session in a row. I can't tell you if it's just going to push back up to highs, but it is consolidating above the 9 EMA. That's not a bearish thing. Expect dips to be bought if they happen over here. Maybe you do end up retesting previous all-time highs down here at 260.10. Maybe. Just maybe. You haven't. I mean, you retested somewhat over here, but it doesn't look all that clean. So we'll see if we retest that area. All right, fix that up for us. And yeah, head higher from there. We will see. We shall see. Meta, guys, continued selling today. Continued selling today. Looks like a bottom is not in yet for Meta. Or, I mean, it could be. If the market wants to, it's going to move with the market. So, you know, if Spine QQ, hey, if they want to head back up and they want to reverse the move we just got today, hey, all right, Meta is probably going to be popping off with it. You do have the 4-hour bullish divergence going on down here on the RSI. The daily RSI is at the same spot it bottomed out at last time, and now we're spending more time down there. Not exactly what you would have wanted to see, but, you know, I'm just telling you, it is in the same exact, you know, spot there. It's a falling knife until it's not. I can't tell you anything other than that. I could tell you, hey, all right, it's going to build out a range at some point, or it just gets a snap back. I'm really not sure. Or the snapback is part of that range. It's probably more likely to be the case. But yeah, that's what you're watching on Meta, guys. There's nothing really to do about it other than wait for it to base out, and then yeah, you could take action off it, or if you want to buy the knife, it is up to you if you want to do so. But the spot you're watching over here is going to be about $600. We're going to say 600, 602. That's going to be right around that 0.618 fib. That's where we're going to be watching. Okay. And those are the Magnificent 7 stocks, guys. Okay, now I got some stocks for you. Okay. First one, I'm just going to say, roast me all you want. Roast me in the comments. I want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, but I want to hear it. So roast my ass, okay? APP, guys, it got most of the overnight move. It just needs to go another 20 points, and then nah, it did not open high in the sky like that. It opened at 650, it pulled back, and then it pushed 650. Looked like it was going to start going, you know, as the market was just blood red at that point. And no, it didn't do it did not. It did not do so. Okay, so this was the first time in 3 to 4 years that you did not get that at least 12% move off of earnings. Is what it is. Can't do nothing about it. That's why I say roast me. You know, I was definitely pounding the table on this name, so I'm not going to deny it. That being said, guys, I still think this thing is going to be going up to highs in the short term. I still think, you know, this is going to be breaking up from this consolidation here. You now have 4 tests of that top there. You know, it's a flat top. Most of the time we see those guys break up. So yeah, I'm looking for you not to take out this low here at 589, and then for you to to start breaking up above 650. Then we have 670, 700 cycle level, and then 74561. Okay, but earnings over here, guys, I'm just telling you for a fact. Not that sounded bearish about that call. It was just everything was improving. But, you know, there's a reason they keep, you know, gapping up. It's just over here. I don't know. I'm not going to blame it on anything over there. I'm going to say environment's not it. Maybe it is just time. It's, you know, hey, all right. It's too of an expected move. There's that. Okay. But either way, yeah, I'm still looking for that thing to be breaking up in the short term over here. I got my 1121 calls, and yeah. We had a little bit on the dip today, but yeah, I'm just going to say, guys, if you want a long here, okay, you could have a stop under here if you'd like, but you are very likely going to be taking out this high. So either way, watch out for that move. If you just put your alert for 650, if it gets hit, you're probably starting that move to $700, and that's when you can, you know, safely tag along with it. But yeah, you might as well, you know, just leave it alone and then wait for it to break up from the range if you're not already playing along. Okay, that's what I would say. No financial advice, but I would say, hey, yeah, if you're not already in it, you don't have to get in it. If you start seeing prices up here at 650, it's breaking out of the range, and then it's probably on its way to 700 and then all-time high in 74561, and you can swiftly swoop in there and catch that move. There you go. That's APP. Crowd, guys, we got the 21 EMA test today. That we did. A lot of relative strength over here today. This is going to be a focus of mine. I've been, you know, pounding the table on this name for the past 2 weeks. We did not get the pullback into 517.98 like I was looking for last week. You did today. You tested the 21 EMA. It's off increasing volume there. I am liking how this is looking. I think we're probably going to start pushing back up to the highs. I think they're going to wait for next week to do it, though. I think we're going to close out with a similar candlestick to what we have right now. Maybe you get a bit more of a bid tomorrow. All right, they close you at 540. Yeah, probably around 540, 545. Maybe they push you right back to highs. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's going to hit it with one of these sticks. You get a nice 20-point move. We'll have to see, but I do think it's going to be at new highs by next week with how the daily is set up there. And yeah, that's that, guys. That is Crowd, CRWD. IBM, guys, showing again a lot of strength today. Okay, so it was showing a lot of strength over here. Okay, it had its earnings move and that second day continuation move. It had a big move. Congrats if you made money over there. All right, this I was pointing out over here. It definitely was. But you know, straight up, this thing now pulled back into where it broke out from, pulled back into the 21 EMA, and is now pushing up on the day. SPY and QQ look like this. You know, I'm just saying, if there's relative strength, it's this guy. Okay, this is probably the cleanest ticker, other than, you know, you got Lemonade over here. You had a big ass move up yesterday. You know, obviously, yeah, this thing is moving and grooving. Okay, but as of today, there are not many names, you know, showing that strength. There's really not. Okay, you know, Google, obviously, I pointed out earlier, it was holding up well. Okay, but you got IBM clear as day over here. It's gunning for the highs. It wants to take out that all-time high at 319.35. So I'm going to be looking for that in the short term over here. And yeah, put it on your radar. I think weekly and daily looks good over here. And yeah, daily suggests this is probably going to be at new all-time highs tomorrow, early next week. We'll see about it. We will see about it. Next one, I already just went over it, but Lemonade, guys. Okay, so you know this thing just broke out. I was pointing this out in the weekly update as this was one of your earnings plays coming into the week. This is one of the top watch earning plays there. I think I gave you 3 of them: APP, this one, and I think I said Hood. But yeah, straight up, you broke out finally from this big base you got going on here, and I am expecting this kind of price action right over here. I'm expecting you to start building out a range. And then once you start breaking up from said range, okay, once you take out this high that you created here at 81.90, I suspect this thing is on its way to $100. So that's that. A conservative, you know, you don't have to shoot right for $100. You could shoot for $90 first, okay? Psych levels, guys, psych levels. Take out 81.90. We're going to be looking for 90. But yeah, before that, I think we probably get a few more sessions of consolidation. It's not a guarantee. But yeah, I'm expecting it either to hit it with something like that and then consolidate for the next 1 to 2 sessions after that, or we're going to start getting these types of candlesticks in a range here. And yeah, we just really have to pay attention to that 81.90 level right there. Okay. That's how you catch that next breakout move. And that way you're not just blindly buying. I mean, you could buy in an ideal spot when you pull back to a 9 EMA, but I don't know if you're going to do that. And honestly, how I'm going to play this is, I'm just going to play the momentum of that second leg. That's what it is. Instead of just blindly adding it down here, because hey, what if that was all she wrote? I don't think it was. I'm just saying. But you do have 3 green weeks, and I see, you know, sometimes this thing only wants to go for a few weeks. That being said, I think a larger move is justified here, like these bad boys right there. Okay, and that is LMND, Lemonade. BE, guys, okay, we already knew it was showing strength. It's still holding up pretty well today. It's not down all too bad. It's only down 3% after being up almost 10% yesterday. Still consolidating above previous highs here, above moving averages, and it's still likely getting ready for that next leg up. 160 to 170. That is BE. Watch for the break above 144.20. You guys, I like how the weekly chart is coming along over here, and I want to point out you got the increasing volume on the week. You got the heavy volume. Okay, let me just clear out everything here, and we'll take a fresh approach to this chart. Okay, what do we got going on here, guys? Well, first things first. You hit it with the break and retest over here. You pushed up, and now you've just kind of pulled back to the weekly 21 for the first time since this whole run started. You know, previous times here, okay, when you were, I mean, you're technically still in this range over here. You're in the same area. But you see how you're now finding buyers here at the 21 EMA. This is on the weekly time frame. This is you, by the way, okay? You're on the weekly time frame on the 21 EMA. Over here, you're losing the 21. Over here, you're losing it. Over here, you're losing it. This time looks to be different. Okay, it genuinely looks to be different. Now, I know the market is behaving how it is right now, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to say this ticker moves. You know, it doesn't have the cleanest price action. It really does not. I'm just not going to sugarcoat that. It looks like it trades like shit. That being said, I think this has a larger turnaround story in the works over here. This looks like a big base going on, and it looks like it's getting ready for some nice slingshot action into the sky. So it's something we're going to watch over the coming weeks over here. But yeah, it's going to need the cooperation of the market there, pushing back to highs for this thing probably to get back up here. Okay, but that is going to be a nice move whenever that comes and presents itself. I'm just letting you know about it while it's here on the weekly 21. Okay, if you want to long it, okay, you can long it right here. You want stock, okay, and you can long it on a pullback. Okay, you could see, you know, most of these weeks here they have the lower wicks. You can long it on a pullback, get a cheaper price, and get as close as possible to the 21 EMA or these lows right over here as possible. Okay, and that's how you could play it. Okay, but yeah, we'll be watching. I'll let you know when it starts really heating up and setting up on the daily over here, because as of right now, I don't think this looks all that clean. You do have this base. You are, hitting it with the break and retest. You got the daily cloud flipping back to green over there. All good things, okay? But, I'd like to see more consolidation here, which means it's probably going to take it into next week, okay? Cypher, guys, push up to this high after consolidating for about a month, okay? So you got almost a month. We're going to call it 3 weeks of consolidation there. And you broke out, and you're only, above this area for 4 sessions now. I think it's very likely going to last longer than 4 sessions there. So yeah, that's all I'm really going to say. You're hitting it with the break and retest over here on Cypher. And yeah, it's just how the ticker likes to move. We should know by tomorrow if this thing wants to move. Okay. We will see. But yeah, you could see, a lot of times, and I think this thing it has started, trending. It broke out of this little range here. It's just kind of consolidating on the top of it. Yeah, I think we'll probably find out tomorrow if this thing wants to move or not. Or maybe we, print like a hammer candlestick and then push up the following session, which would be Monday. But yeah, we should find out in the short term here, next 1 to 2 sessions, if this thing wants to be pushing up or if it's going to break the 21 EMA. If you're longing over here, just watch the 21 EMA. You could see over here along the run, you did not test the 21 EMA. When you did, you went through a sideways period. You actually, found buyers off it not too long ago. Okay, so it's going to be a key spot for you to watch. Okay, that's going to be Cypher, CIFR. Okay, IRN guys, they have earnings going on right now. Not right now, but they did, right after the bell there. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing tomorrow. I think, this is pretty much the same setup we had over there on Cypher before it broke out. I know it's not gapping up big off earnings. We're going to see what happens, in the pre-market session there. But yeah, I'm definitely just going to say that was the environment today. There's not spec capital going around today. They are definitely, they're taking out of pretty much everything across the board. It's a sea of red today. You got some green names. I'm pointing them out right now. Okay, don't you worry. But yeah, it's definitely a sea of red. And when you have moves like that, it's investors, it's traders, it's everyone, it's us, it's me, it's you. We're all uncertain over here. You see what SPY's doing? Okay, the market's uncertain. You just started losing the 21 EMA. All of these higher beta names, they're going to have all the spec capital's coming out of them. That's just how it goes. They're going to get hit harder. So just know that it doesn't really matter what the name is right now. Okay. If you have the Mag 7 stocks getting hit, have the spec names getting hit, it's not really going to matter. You just got to wait for the tide to turn around, which I already told you earlier in the video. You're waiting over here on SPY 677.38 to be taken out, which was just today's high. Okay, you got to get back above the 9 and the 21 EMA. That's pretty much it. And if you could do it, we're probably going to start marching back up the highs. That is what has happened over here. It's probably going to be the case over here if that gets done. All right, so we'll be watching for it, okay? All right, but yeah, after iron, guys, we're talking XPEV. XPEV with the strength today, almost a 10% move it closed out with. It looks like this thing wants to go. I got another China name for you, and it's actually the leader, okay? But that is XPEV, XPEV. We do have a massive bullpenning going on here, okay? And it is right here consolidating at the top for, quite some time, okay? In between the upper trend line and the weekly 21 EMA over here for, we're talking 2.5 months. This looks like it wants to break up, okay? And you do definitely have massive volume going on today. Heaviest you've actually seen in a while here. So do not be surprised if this thing continues pushing over the coming sessions here and breaks you out of this pennant, okay? And if it doesn't break out right now, I suspect they do it off of earnings. But we'll see what happens, okay? We will see. BABA, the China leader. All right, the China leader. I want to take the time and just point out the weekly time frame here. Okay, we just see consolidation above the weekly 9 EMA. The last time I see something like that is right over here. Okay, where you then end up, breaking out of that range, and within 1 week you had a 9% pop. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week, but yeah, if you do end up taking out 192.67, current price 167. I think you're heading back up the highs. If you take out that 192.67 high, I think you're going to get that similar 10% move there. And that brings you right up to the next spot, which is 211.23. That's where you broke down from way back in the day. Way back in the day, back in 2021, May 2021. Okay, and then you have the 0.618 fib from the whole move, whole move down there from all-time highs that is sitting right above at 220. Okay, that is BABA. Now we got Walmart. Walmart, guys. I pointed this out at the beginning of the week. We're sitting right, or no, it was actually in the weekly update because we came right down into the weekly 21 EMA. And yeah, we are finding the buyers there. We have now seen them step up all week here. Okay, last Friday, Monday, yesterday, and today. They're all stepping in right off of that weekly 21 EMA. You could see the last few times you did 1, 2, 3, 4 times. You tested the 21 EMA in this range. You held it. All right. You already got a failed breakout going on over here. Technically, you had another one going on over here. So you got 2 failed breakouts as of right now. You just have the bigger one recently. I think they're probably about to bring you back up to 105.30. But if you would like to play Walmart, this gives you a very clear area to risk if you'd like. And you could bring it back up to 105.30. That's what you're going to be targeting. Okay. That is Walmart. WMT. All right. Aside from that, guys, I'm going to point out Nokia was holding up well today. I know nobody wants to talk about Nokia. But yeah, NVIDIA, made an effort to highlight the living crap out of them over at their what was that thing called? GTC conference? Whatever, their conference they had not too long ago. Yeah, they were definitely highlighting Nokia as being, extremely valuable over here. And I love how it is holding up right against the daily 9 EMA here. I will not be surprised to see this thing start pushing back up. So I'm just pointing out it is basing out above the 9 EMA. The level you're going to watch over here is going to be 721. You get above 721, all right, good things going to happen. I mean, honestly, it's not even like a level. I'm just going to point out it is basing out against the 9 EMA. I don't want to tell anybody, oh, it breaks up here, it's going to start going. No, for all I know, it might have some action like this where you take the level out, retest it, and then you start going, okay? You build out some structure over here. We'll see, okay? But Nokia, it's definitely holding up well. On a bloody red day, NASDAQ down 2%. This thing is up 1%, just about. FIG, FIG. This was an IPO not too long ago, and I do want to point out you got heavy volume coming in today, and you printed a bullish candlestick. Okay, so you swept yesterday's candle low, you closed above it. Okay, closed out with a nice long lower wick there. Heavy volume. All right, daily RSI is oversold. This is what you want to see. Now, but that being said, this thing has definitely had the selling pressure on it for quite some time. I just want to point out for anybody who's been watching the name, it is showing buyers. I'm not telling anybody to blindly buy it down here. I'm pointing out names that are showing strength today. Okay. Today on your blood red day. Why? Because when the market does turn around, these are the things that are probably going to have outsized moves. And the market keeps coming down. These are the things that are probably going to also just be consolidating and holding up. That's why I give them to you. Yeah, I could point out some names to short, but real talk, you could do anything. The whole market is dying. It literally does not matter. Okay, I pointed out Microsoft over here. Okay, like you want to take a short, it was the one I've been pointing out its weakness. But either way, yeah, I'm not going to talk about shorts right now. You could do whatever you want, but everything is blood red. Everything is falling. And I'm also in the camp that believes that, hey, anybody shorting down here, I think you're a little late to the party. I was pointing out over here. Okay, I was actually pointing out before that week started that if we started the week off, moving up, we're going to look for an upper wick to form by end of week. And then into this week, we said this was the base case coming down into this area. Okay, so I'm just saying, I think anybody shorting, if you get my scenario, which I'm still thinking is probably going to be the case here, all right, you're going to be shorting the whole. So I'm not going to take the time to talk about these things. I'm not. If we get the larger breakdown, we get the larger breakdown. Okay, we'll find out after the fact. That'll be that. Okay, but anybody who's tried being early to the party recently for months has been dead wrong every time. So I'm telling you, you might as well just wait for everything to start breaking down. I'm talking about an actual breakdown here. All right, I'm talking about a larger move down. Not what you got going on right now here on the daily. This doesn't look all too bad. That it does not. That being said, it's the same thing I was pointing out on ticker earlier. Daily cloud on Tesla there. Daily cloud flips red. If you get this move down, it's a sustained move down here for a few sessions. Daily cloud flips red. You then retest that. Okay, like it's probably going to go something like, you know, this. We probably would have something like that. You'd probably protect this low down here, okay, bounce, and then you probably take it out later on. If you flip the cloud red, it hasn't happened the entire time. So 100%, like that's when you expect more downside or sideways action. Just what I, by default, I expect when that happens. All right, so that's that. All right, guys, but that's what I have for you guys today. MU, guys, I pointed this out in yesterday's video for the 5-point move following, you know, today being today. You got an 8-point move at the highs off of there, and if you caught it, you know, on the low of day there, you got to catch a 10-point move. So congrats if you made money on that. But really, guys, you know, don't drive yourself too crazy with the market right now. Okay, real talk. You just you got to wait and see what the market wants to do here. I'm pretty sure we're about to get confirmation that we are going to be moving up. And now that we got this move underneath the 21 EMA, yeah, if we get back into this area here, we take out today's high, 677.38 here on SPY. It's probably just going to start moving back up. You get above 680.86, yesterday's high in SPY. That's when we know, hey, you're above all short-term moving averages. You're pushing back up to highs. That is very likely going to be the case from there, okay? But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, okay? If you did, just please remember to leave a like, all right? Appreciate you guys. And if you want to come trade with me, that link is going to be down below. I'm live every day. And with that being said, guys, I hope everybody has a lovely rest of their night. I hope you guys crush it tomorrow. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.